we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we record this podcast, the Wadawurrung people. We pay our respect to elders past and present. Hi, and welcome to Boldly Me. I'm Chloé Hayden, and I'm an actor, author, disability activist, and motivational speaker. In this podcast, I'll be chatting to people who are living boldly and are unapologetically themselves. Today, I am so incredibly excited to be speaking to a total trailblazer, Tsehay Hawkins. Tsehay is a singer, dancer, and the Yellow Wiggle. When Emma Watkins left the Wiggles in 2021, Tsehay was brought up to the main group, becoming the second woman and the first member of African heritage. She was also the youngest Wiggles member at just, wait for it, 15 years old. She is a total icon, one of my good mates, the biggest slay person to ever exist, and I am so excited to be chatting with her on Boldly Me today. Tsehay, thank you so much for coming on Boldly Me today. Before we get properly started, I want to know, what are you hyperfixating on?
I think I'll have to say anything Elvis. Since the Elvis movie, I've loved it, and I think I've realised how amazing and timeless his voice is, and I literally have an Elvis drink bottle right next to me.
Oh my god, love!
You slay.
Do you have a favourite song?
That is the hardest thing ever. I don't think I do because it changes constantly. There's so many.
So fair, so fair. Tell us about your journey to becoming a Yellow Wiggle.
This one is a very cool one. It's quite a long one, but I'm a dancer, and on my Instagram I post all my dance videos, and the choreographer just reached out to me by watching some of my dance videos. She's now the Red Wiggle, and she messaged me, emailed me through the Wiggles, and were like, would you like to come in as a wiggly dancer? I was like, oh, yeah, of course, that'd be amazing. I didn't really know what was going on. I was absolutely stoked. And I kind of came in the first day, saw all the Wiggles memorabilia on the walls, the history of I think just the amazing achievements the Wiggles have, and I was so excited. I got to meet the four, and I came in, I filmed as a dancer, loved it, and then I came back like a few days after, and we also filmed again, and then I filmed a TikTok with them, and it kind of went viral. It was the Renegade, which I remember everyone was doing, and
classic TikTok era.
Such a good one. We should go back. But I loved it, and my friends weren't kind of believe me. They're like, oh, so you are doing stuff with the Wiggles. I was like, yeah, look. They're like, you're on my For You page, and it was amazing, and that was beautiful. And then COVID hit, so I didn't really work for the Wiggles for the rest of the year, and then I came in. I think the next year they were like, oh, can you come in for more filming for the Halloween DVD? I think I was in a skeleton outfit or something, and that was great. I loved it. I met Anthony's daughter. I met a few bits of the family. I met more of the team, and that was beautiful. And then they asked me if I wanted to come on tour as a wiggly dancer for a few of the shows, and I was like, absolutely. So I went to, it was Newcastle and Perth and Melbourne. It was great. I loved it. And then I met John Pierce, who is now one of the other Purple Wiggles, and at one of the Sydney shows, I was in between in the catering room or something, and I saw him talking to Anthony, and Anthony was like, oh, come here, Tsehay, this is John Pierce, you know him from What Is It, One Direct, and then his wife was like, oh, Justice Crew, and I was like, oh my gosh, I grew up watching Justice Crew, this is amazing. So it was lovely, I met him, and Anthony was mentioning, oh, we're going to get you guys in to do some, filming for a new Wiggles series with 8 Wiggles, and I was like, wow, but I didn't really know what was going on. And then they called us up on a Zoom meeting, the 4 of us, which was Kelly, Evie, and John, and my dad was on the Zoom meeting as well, and I was actually at dancing, so I went to a studio and just sat on the Zoom meeting. They're like, we'd like you to be 4 new Wiggles in our Fruit Salad TV series episode. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it didn't really click what I was doing until I went into the studio, and they gave me the red skivvy with my name printed on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so sick. And we filmed that series, which is great, and I couldn't tell anyone, which was the hottest secret to keep from my friends and I guess extended family. And then lockdown hit again, and that was quite a long one. And midway between that lockdown session, it was announced that they were doing a new series, and they had 4 new Wiggles, and that was amazing. My phone kind of blew up. My friend's like, why didn't you tell me you were going to be a Wiggle? I was like, here you go. I was absolutely excited, over the moon. And then I think about a week before everything was going to open, restrictions are going to be released, and we're going back into normal life outside of lockdown and COVID. The Wiggles emailed me and were like, can you come in on Monday? And I was like, oh, can I maybe come in like the next day, because that's when I'm going to figure out how school and dance is going to end up for the rest of the year. And they're like, we really need you to come in that day. So I'm like, okay, no worries. And then that Monday morning, they called me up and were like, would you like to be the yellow wiggle? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. Like,
oh no, I think I'm busy actually.
Yeah, maybe not. I was so excited. My mom was like crying next to me, and my dad was trying to keep my brother quiet. It was like the funniest, most chaotic thing ever. And then finished that like call, got into the car, zoomed off to Wiggles headquarters, and then they got out a yellow skivvy pants, because I wear pants. I'm more of a pants girl than a skirt girl, and they found like a yellow and black flower headband in one of the drawers. I'm like, oh, this looks like a nice look. Amazing. Let's film the Hey Tsehay song, which was a song all about me, spelling my name, which was absolutely amazing. We did some style guide photos, and then the next day it was literally announced. And I did like 15 interviews on the one day of just, here's what's it like being a Wiggle. So it was a very quick turnover, but I think it was the best because I didn't have any time to hesitate. I was just so excited.
So true. It's like you find out and then boofed, it's happened. And your first song ever is a song that's literally about you.
So cool. I never thought I'd have a song about me, and I love it.
And it's
so
a
cool.
bop. It's such a slay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have you always wanted to have a career in that field, or was it just something that you love doing and then happened to be able to fall into it as a career?
I think dancing, show business was always what I wanted to do. And I'm very lucky that my parents, especially growing up in a semi-rural town, it's not really a place where everyone goes off and does dancing instead of, doing sport or doing something else. But I think my parents really knew I wanted to do it. And they kind of had a rule. If by the age of 16 I haven't made it or I'm not doing amazing, then they're going to focus on actually getting, a stable job. But I think having their support has been amazing. I've had so many opportunities. My parents have spent endless sleepless nights driving me to and from rehearsals to shows to anything. And I think it's just been something I always loved. And I always wanted to be in the show business, creative arts scene. I said to myself, if I never make it as like a pop star or a film star or a dancer, I was going to be a fashion designer. So I think I'd always be in this field.
Absolutely made for it. I would love to ask actually about your parents and about your childhood. I met your mum at the Marie Claire Women of the Year Awards. What a queen. What an icon. I love her. She seems like such a sweetheart.
Oh, thank you. She is an absolute legend. So I was adopted. I was born in Ethiopia. In the capital, Addis Ababa, and I was with my birth mum for about 5 days. That's all I know. And then she dropped me at an orphanage, and they transferred me to Koala House, which is in Ethiopia, like where the kids are adopted to Australia. And my parents were allocated me at about 7-8 months old, and then they picked me up, and I've lived in Sydney, Australia ever since. I think growing up in my area, there's not many black kids, or I have to say racially diverse kids either. It was quite funny at a lot of the schools, the kids hadn't seen someone that was African or had brown skin. So I was usually, people were like, are you Indigenous? Are you Aboriginal? I was like, no. But, and then we adopted my gorgeous little brother. His name's Kenley. We adopted him from Colombia. So that I was about 6-7 years old, and I got to go over to Colombia with my mum and dad. And I got to see how the adoption, I think, agency worked.
I love that. Both of my youngest siblings are both adopted as well. They're both from Taiwan. And I'm my parents' biological child, but we have, similarly to you, such a culturally diverse family. My cousins are Chinese. My dad is Irish. My 2 youngest siblings are Taiwanese. We have so many cultures in our family, and we celebrate so many different aspects of these cultures, where we celebrate Chinese New Year, and we've always been my parents have always made sure that my siblings' culture is still such an innate part of who they are. We have their flags in their bedrooms, and we have photos of their birth mums in their rooms, and we constantly tell them how incredible their culture is and how incredible they are. I would love to know, was there anything that your parents did to honor your culture and to embrace what your culture is.
Yes, I think that was a really important part of me growing up because there's a lot of families where they don't. And, I can understand everyone has their own way of working out how to introduce someone new into their family, but my parents always thought it was really important. And it's quite obvious. A lot of people always ask me, like, when did you know you were adopted? I have brown skin. It's pretty obvious, It was never like a secret where they broke it to me when I was like 15. We're like, here's the news, you're adopted. I knew it from
what?
I knew it from day one. So I think it was always really important for my parents to also be aware of my culture as well. We went to endless African, Ethiopian festivals. The group I was from, Koala House, are a group of children. We called an Akasa adoption group, and we all met up all the time. So we were all adopted. We all kind of came from the same orphanage. So we spent a lot of time together doing, like, going to festivals or just having picnics, which was beautiful to be around kids that were similar. And again, like you said, your family has, like, the children's flags in their rooms. We have flags all around the house and different artifacts that my parents brought back from Ethiopia. And same with my brother, who's Colombian. I did Ethiopian, and I still do, and African dancing. And then when we adopted my brother, we kind of adopted his culture, and I became obsessed with their dancing. And I started salsa and samba.
Wow.
And I think it's just always been a part of our whole family.
Have you gone back to Ethiopia since?
No, every time we've tried to go, it hasn't been safe, unfortunately.
Right.
Actually, if it's okay by the end of this year, I'm hoping once I turn 18, that in the Christmas break, we're hoping to go over to Ethiopia and go to all the orphanages that I came from and kind of see my history. So that would be a very exciting 18th birthday present if everything is safe by then.
Oh my goodness, fingers crossed for you. That sounds absolutely incredible.
Thank you. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I also love what you were saying about using dance to connect to not just your culture but your brother's culture. I think that's dance is such an incredible way to connect to emotions, feelings, people, and cultures as well. I think that's such a beautiful way to utilize your incredible skill that you have.
Definitely. And I think with the communities that we're from too, you see even people that aren't dancers, they get up and vibe along because it's kind of like a language that I'm not from Colombia, but I can dance with the Colombians. And I think it's beautiful.
That's incredible. So you were the first female wiggle of colour, which is incredible. First of all, do you feel any pressure that comes with that title?
I think I felt pressure becoming a wiggle, but because that's just a huge role in itself.
Of course.
And, the previous owner who was wearing yellow, Emma, she was such an amazing role model. So a lot of people looked up to her. So I was definitely nervous to fill in that role. But I think of being a female wiggle of colour, I think I've always been proud of that. And when I joined, the feedback, like, it was such a shocking kind of bit of news. It kind of came out of nowhere. So I was expecting a lot more, maybe responses that weren't so friendly, but the feedback I got was just so positive and lovely, and were from the African community, the Ethiopian community, the adoption community, and even the Colombian, because I'm a salsa dancer. They kind of all said, "Oh, we're so happy to have someone that's representing us on TV." And I think because I've always been very proud of my culture and the cultures that make up my family and who I am, I don't really have to worry about how I portray it because it's always been a part of me.
Do you have any memorable reactions from young people or even older people to you becoming a wiggle? Has there been anything that's really stuck with you?
Oh, definitely. I think even there was an article where there was a little girl from Perth and she was African. She said, "Wow, Mom, there's someone that looks like me." And that just meant the world, first of all, because growing up also, whenever I saw someone that was black on TV, like Beyonce was my queen, like loved her, it really meant a lot to see someone that looks like you because you don't really notice it if they're not there. But if you do, it makes a big deal. So I think when children see what they can relate to, they know that they're accepted in society and that they can do whatever they want to do. But I think going to shows, and even Anthony has said there are so many more Africans that are coming to the shows. There were never this much before.
Oh, wow.
And I was quite surprised, but it was beautiful. And there's a lot of that, like a lot of kids, I guess, would usually, if they were black, they would probably stand up in the back of the corner and just watch. But a lot of them are now coming down to the front of the stage and like, I look like her, I can own it, and it's just the best. It makes me feel so happy, and I think it just reminds me, when I was growing up watching The Wiggles, loved them, the OG for the guys, they were absolutely amazing. But I think having such a diverse range of Wiggles and someone that they can look up to means the world.
Girl, you have me almost crying here. That is so beautiful to hear. The fact that young people now are able to see themselves. And I think that's the most important thing. I know that you guys have been copping some flack recently about being like part of like the woke culture or whatever. But knowing that there's young people now that are boogieing up the front now and are getting into the Wiggles mosh pit and are like, I look like her, so now I'm part of it. That's so much more important than anything else, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it means the world. And like every time they do say it about woke, well, like if it means being inclusive and good, then maybe we are. You know?
Absolutely. Embrace the woke label, dude. If it means that young people are going to have something that we didn't, absolutely. Woke it up.
Love it. Slay.
Was there anyone that you looked up to growing up?
Oh, there were a lot. I have to say Wiggles, I loved them. They were great. I think Princess Tiana from Princess and the Frog.
Ah, incredible.
She was beautiful. I'm wearing green in memory. No. But she had the afro puff, and she was a princess that worked hard too. Like she wasn't just stayed in a tower and was rescued. Also, I love normal princess stories, don't get me wrong. I'm a sucker for fairy tales. But I think Princess Tiana was just such a queen. And she was like one of the first female people of colour, black people, that were portrayed as a princess and as beautiful and as someone to look up to in a main, not a side character. And even in the movie, like, people doubted her, but she rose up and slayed. So I think I really looked up to her because she looked like me. My room is still purple because my mum had decorated it completely as Princess Diana. I had like a full bed with her on and everything. So she was one of my icons, and Beyonce, of course. But I think I had a lot of other amazing people that I looked up to, but I think she really stood out.
You are 17 years old. You are on tour all the time, recording things all the time, an actual Australian icon. How do you make time to just be a teenager?
I have to say that is a little bit hard because all of my teenager friends are dancers, so they do spend 7 days of the week dancing like I used to. So, but I think also not being 18 yet, my mum gets to come on the road with me, which is absolutely amazing. So, and you met her, like, she comes to all the award shows, or sometimes dad too. And I think just having my parents here is great. I love it. And it kind of stabilizes me. I think coming home too, I have a little brother. We're a normal crazy family. I got a dog. I still have to worry about keeping my room clean and tidy. But I think just leaving time for me to just chill, which I never used to. I used to think chilling was like being lazy and, but I now really love having time to just sit and read Harry Potter. So I think I get time to be a teenager, but I choose those moments wisely.
Love that. When you're out in the street, when you're just Tsehay, do you get stopped?
Yes, I do. It was quite... Actually, there was a lot more when I first started, that I expected. I definitely didn't think to get recognised straight away, but I think news of new Wiggles is quite big in Australia, so I think also the hair is a dead giveaway. I was lucky the Wiggles asked what hairstyle I'd like to wear, and this is literally the easiest. I wear my hair like this all the time. It's kind of been my signature hairstyle for my entire life. So I wear my hair like this pretty much 24/7. So I forget sometimes that not many people have hair, or Africans that do, they usually got braids or maybe hair different. So my hair is always like this, so it's definitely a standout. I live in a small town, so everyone kind of knows me already. But I think, yeah, it happens a lot now, which I'm getting used to, and I love it. It's quite funny. It's mainly the parents more than the children. It's the best when the children recognize, because it's just so cute. But it's so funny when the parents is like, can we get a photo? And the kid's like, she's not in yellow. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, that's not her. What is that?
She's not wearing yellow right now. But it's so cute when they do recognize too, and they go, it's the best, and I think it's really, really cute. I love it, and it's nice. We meet a lot of lovely people, and I think my parents get to know new people every day, so it's a lot of fun. It's great.
Is there anyone that you get starstruck by? You've gone to like the Arias and have like gone everywhere. Who have you met that you were like, oh my God?
Well, I have to say the OGs when I first started, the original Wiggles.
So
I was
valid.
Like, I genuinely was like, what the hell? I used to watch you the whole time, like my whole childhood. So that was definitely like a wow moment. We've met so many people. We did like a skit for like when the new Minions movie or Despicable Me, like Rise of Gru was coming out. We did a skit with Steve Carell.
Oh my God.
It was over Zoom, but like we had a little chat beforehand. He's like, congratulations on the role. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to Steve Carell. And that was like, I was quite ecstatic. We met the Irwin family too. So there's been a few lovely people that we have met that I've just been like, oh my gosh. And we met Michael Bublé too. He's an absolute legend. So some pretty, really, really cool people that I've been like, oh my gosh, wow.
Has Emma Wiggle given you any advice putting her shoes on?
Definitely. The night before it was announced, she called me up. I was on the way back from dancing and she was like, I just want to say huge congratulations. Like we've worked together before, and she was just like, take everything with a big heart and just be open to everything. She said it's going to be a bit of a whirlwind. She's like, your phone will blow up the next day. But I think it was nice to get I think feedback and some advice from someone who went through it herself. She took over the role of the original Wiggles, and that was the first time there'd ever been a change in the Wiggles. So that would have been such an amazing thing, but also a really difficult thing to deal with. So it was absolutely amazing getting advice from her. She was quite lovely.
She's such a beautiful person. I've worked with her a couple of times, and she's just like such an angel.
Definitely.
Has there been anyone else alongside, obviously, the OG Wiggles that has mentored you along this journey?
I think my parents, having them, they have my best wishes at heart. They know what's best for me and when I'm happy and when I'm not. And I think just having them around is always the best. And my mum was also like a childcare preschool teacher, so she listened to the Wiggles all the time. She also knows how to work with children, so it's been great having her advice as well. But I think having God guide me as well, I think he's always been there. Every time things I've been like, oh, what's going on? It's always picked up. So I think I've had a lot of grateful memories, and I've got people guiding me.
That's so incredible. So before we finish up, I have got 3 quick-fire questions that I ask every single one of my guests.
Amazing. I'm stoked.
Okay, slow. Okay, the first question is, what is one song that never fails to make you feel happy?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I think anything from Queen, it always cheers me up. Like maybe
anything specifically?
Don't Stop Me Now is a great song. It's always, like uplifting. I think it's something that they'd always put at the end of a movie that's really happy, so I'll say that.
Perfect. Number 2 is, what is one piece of advice that you would give your 13-year-old self?
I think just keep working hard, trust, and listen to your parents because they always have the best advice. And I think just trust with where you're going and just believe in yourself, and if you want to do it, keep going.
I love that. I think that's perfect. Number 3 is, if you could be any Disney character, who would you be?
I think that one's quite obvious. I think I'd be Princess Tiana from Princess
I think you would be, oh my God, I think you need to be the live action Tiana.
Thank you.
Oh my God, could you imagine the dance moves? Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh,
put it into action now. Let's go. Tsehay, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an absolute honor having you on my podcast.
No worries. Thank you for having me. This has definitely been one of the most fun interviews/podcasts I've ever done.
Oh my God, thank you. What an honor. What a fun podcast, and what a brilliant, beautiful person Tsehay is. She is such a sunshine ball of energy, isn't she? I just love her. Every time I've ever met her, anytime I've ever spoken to her, heck, anytime I even just see her social media posts, it feels like I've just been like smacked in the face with a ball of sunshine. I love her. I love her positivity towards her family and her childhood and her quite unique story of her childhood, and also how wonderful her experience has been becoming a Wiggle at the age of 15. And just what an incredible person she is. This was such a fun episode, and I hope you guys loved it as much as I did. Thank you so much for listening to Boldly Me. If you liked what you heard, make sure to rate and review the show on your podcast app if it lets you. I love seeing your guys' reviews, and I love seeing all the stuff that you guys are saying. I'm like a little seal. I need constant validation. So please let me know what you think of it. And maybe let a friend know. Let a family member know. Go let someone know who needs some of Tsehay's bubbly sunshine positivity. Go let someone know who needs a boogie. Go show them Tsehay's dancing videos. She's so wicked. Most importantly, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, stay hydrated, and do whatever makes you feel happy. Bye!